Hey everyone, I'm your host Jordan Banderas, and this is the Bad Influence Podcast. But before we get started, don't forget to smash the subscribe or follow button so you don't miss out on any episodes. Now, this week at work, it has been really slow, and I mean fucking slow. They're doing some new upgrades on the machinery, they're installing new things, so pretty much only like 2-3 lines are running per night. So it has been so slow that during the week I actually had a few hours to spare and literally not do shit at work because there was nothing for me to do. They have even sent people home because there's literally nothing to do, but they need me there because I'm quality control, so I had to be there. And because I had nothing to do, I did what anybody else would do around this time. I pulled out my phone and I started actually browsing the internet. Don't judge me, I know you have done it. Everybody does it. I've seen it, I've done it, and probably you've seen it and you have done it. But here's the thing about this. When I started browsing the internet, all I kept seeing for some reason was articles about how depression, anxiety, and suicidal rates have gone up post-pandemic. So because of that, I actually got very curious about this because my wife is dealing actually with those three issues. She has actually been hospitalized because of suicidal ideation, and anxiety and depression as well. And I have dealt with that because I was diagnosed with PTSD. So I was like, I'm gonna actually look into this because there may be new resources that I didn't know about probably in the past when my wife got sick. So I read articles from CNN, Fox, the CDC, the WHO, World Health Organization, Mental Health America, and a lot more because, like I said, I had a few hours to spare, so literally I had nothing to do, so I just read all about this. And here's what's happening right now post-pandemic. It seems that the actual rates for these three types of situations or illnesses have gone up between 13 to 25% post-pandemic. Now, 13 to 25% may not seem like a lot, but it is because, let's say, pre-pandemic, we're not doing that bad. Now, post-pandemic, we're doing fucking bad. Like, it could become the next pandemic, actually, the mental health pandemic, which is severe issue, literally. So, anyway, while I was reading all of this, something that happened with me is that it triggered a memory. Because while I was reading them, there were some cases, like how depression and anxiety starts, like with anxiety, how it can actually get you to start cutting yourself or harming yourself because you want to snap out of it. That's something that happens a lot of times. It's very rare, but it happens. And that's exactly what happened with my wife. When I read that, it triggered me to remember how my wife actually started to cut herself. She started cutting herself when she was at her worst, during the worst part of her being sick. Well, she still is sick. She still has to face all these illnesses, but this happened during the worst part of it. So what happened, and I want to share that with you because of all these articles that I read, is that one day I just came home from work. Obviously, at one point I have to come home. And what happened is that my wife came to say hi at the door to me, and I was like, hey, how are you? How's my lovey? And then I noticed something on her arm, on her forearm. At first I thought it was makeup because it looked like makeup. But then I paid attention and I was like, what the fuck is that? Like in a loving way, like, hey, what the fuck is that? What happened to your arm? And she was telling me that she started cutting herself. She felt ashamed. That's the thing. It's like she felt ashamed of even telling me. And I think one thing that actually helped her was my reaction, because I didn't get mad. I actually got curious about it because I had never dealt with anything like this. I have never done anything like that. So I was like, how come you did that? So she was telling me that she felt overwhelmed. She felt really anxious. She had a discussion with somebody at that point that made her feel overwhelmed. So somehow in her brain, it turned out that the only option that she had was to cut herself. And the thing about my wife is that because she had a stroke, she is on blood thinners. So if you cut yourself deep on blood thinners, you're gonna bleed out. That's a fact. That's a fucking fact. So when my wife told me that, I was scared too, but I didn't want to show it. I was like, I can't let her see me scared, because then she's gonna feel scared, and then she's gonna be overwhelmed, and then she's gonna get anxious, and the same shit could happen. So because of everything that was happening at that time, we were going through so much. Like I said, she had been hospitalized, and she had been hospitalized due to suicidal ideation, depression. So I was like, fuck, I can't let that happen again. And I think I did this wrong, because I didn't look for resources. So instead of looking for resources, I was like, fuck, I gotta come up with a plan. And we came up with a plan, something that I'm glad that it actually worked for us, because what we did is that I told her, like, okay, if you ever feel like that again, where you have the need to actually cut yourself, you have to do something to snap out of it. I don't even know how I came up with that. That's pretty much out of desperation. That's what I had to do, because I didn't want to take her to the hospital because they don't do shit. I didn't want to take her to the doctor because, again, they don't do shit. And then all they're gonna do is just give her more medication. So it's like, is it really gonna help? So what we did in this situation, I told her, okay, if you feel like that again, I need you to try these things. One, call me, text me, and I will call you right away so I can, calm you down. Use my calming voice to calm you down. Or text a friend, call a family member. Just call somebody to talk to, to kind of like focus on something else. If that is not available at that point or at that time, do something else. Go outside. Go lay down in the grass. Go play with the dogs. Take a shower. Do something that kind of like gets you distracted. Color a book. Do a journal. Do something. Just do something. Stop scrolling online. Don't watch the news. Do something that prevents you from getting overwhelmed and kind of like calms you down, like sometimes petting a dog will help her, like that's pretty much what we did. And like I said, fortunately, that actually worked, and it worked great, because that has been the only time that she has done that. She hasn't done it ever since. And when she feels overwhelmed. Oh, another thing that I told her before I forget, that way you can try this as well. Take your medications too. I told her to take her medications. So she has tried all of that. It worked. Thankfully, it worked. I don't know how it worked, because like I said, I just came up with it at the spur of the moment, but it fucking worked. Now, here's the thing that I also read on those articles. And that is that what's happening right now, because of mental health issues going up and everything, is that there's a new number. Well, the number has always been out there, but I guess it was a longer number and it was kind of like hard to remember. Now they changed that to the 988 number. And I think, if I read that correctly, that was actually released or put out there on July or September, if I read that correctly. I don't really remember the date, but here's the most important part about this. Ever since that number came out, or when they changed the number, there has been an increase of 45% in calls to that number. So that tells you, or that should tell you, that the number is actually helping, and that there's a lot of fucking people that actually need help. Now, when my wife had her worst parts of the depression, anxiety, and the suicide ideation, I fucked up. Because like I mentioned, I didn't look for resources. But one of the reasons why I didn't do that, and I don't want you to go through that because I know how fucking hard it is that I was kind of afraid of the stigma that comes with it. Because for one, my wife is going to be stigmatized because she has all these health issues and mental health issues. So there's going to be stigma for that. And then there's going to be stigma for me, which I didn't know how to deal with, which is the one where people are going to be like, and people have done this to us. Well, you're the man of the house. You're supposed to take care of her. Why can't you watch her while you're at work? I haven't actually told that. So I didn't want to deal with that bullshit. So that's why I didn't want to look for any resources. I'm like, I'm going to fucking figure it out. And I know it's not the right thing to do, but in our case, at least it worked. For now, at least it worked for now, or for that time, because it was fucking hard. Like, I'm not gonna lie, it was fucking hard. So if you actually are facing a situation like this where you are suffering from depression, anxiety, and even suicidal ideation, what you need to do, this is my advice to you, in my opinion, because of what I have gone through. You need to find what works best for you. You can do some of the things that I mentioned that helped my wife. Like I said, you can call somebody, you can find somebody that you can open up to and be like, hey, this is how I feel. You can go to therapy. But now the thing about therapy is that there are different kinds of therapy. And that's why if you go to one specific type of therapy and it doesn't work for you, then you might have to try a different one. For example, I tried EMDR, which is called eye movement desensitization. I can't say the word, sorry. So Google it, because I don't know how to say the word. My ESL teacher didn't teach me that. So it's called EMDR. But the thing about that particular type of therapy is that through eye movement, you actually have to reprocess the trauma. So that helped me, but it's fucking hard because you, again, are going to reprocess the trauma. You're going to kind of have to relive it and go through it and kind of like reprocess it in a way where you don't feel bad about it. So it's hard. And it was hard for me. And I know people that have tried it and it didn't work for them. They actually felt worse. So that's why you have to try the therapy that works for you. Other things that you can try is, call the 988 number. I have heard good things about it. I have heard bad things about it. Just like anything in life, literally, there's going to be pros and cons. So you have to look into that. If it works for you, you can just give it a try, wherever. You can, find something like drawing, anything that literally distracts you from that feeling of anxiety. I know that sounds dumb, but that's something that has helped my wife. That has been something that has helped me. So by getting distracted from the anxiety, that has seemed to help as well. So that's why I'm putting it out there, because it might actually fucking help you. So there are so many things that you can try, but the thing is that you need to try them. And if you're afraid of the stigma, here's the thing about that. You can't allow the stigma from others to stop you from getting better and seeking the help that you need. Because they're not the ones that are suffering. They're not the ones that are going to suffer if something happens to you. They're the ones that are just gonna look back at whatever's happening to you and blame others or blame you, and they won't even offer you help. So fuck them. Literally, fuck them. care about them. Just do it for you, do it for your family, because you deserve to get better, you deserve to have a good life, you deserve to enjoy life. And when you have either one of these conditions or illnesses, however you want to describe them, you can't really enjoy life. Let's be honest. You can't really enjoy life. So that's why I wanted to share this with you guys, because it was pretty interesting to me how all of these articles kept popping up. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to talk about this on the podcast because it just kept popping up. And I honestly think that people do need help right now. Like the fact that they're saying that between 13 to 25% of cases have, right, or 13 to 20, or I mean, depression, anxiety, and suicide rates have actually increased 13 to 25%. I think that doesn't show the real picture, or like the bigger picture, which in my opinion, I honestly feel like it will be around like 60% if every single fucking person in the country gets interviewed and asked how they feel, if they feel anxious, especially because of the season right now. You know, we're going through a tough situation right now economically. Everything is going up in price, you know, job security, you know, like rents keep going up. There's so much shit. So that's why I also told my wife, don't watch the news, because that's all the news talk about, negativity. And negativity is going to fucking make you anxious. So that's another thing that I'm putting out there. If you feel anxious watching TV, and especially the news, maybe you need to stop watching them. Don't do it for the ratings for them. Do it for you. Focus on you. Focus on you, and then that might actually help you as well. But that's pretty much what I wanted to share on today's episode. Thank you again for the growth. We are growing. We are actually reaching more people. We getting so much feedback, or we are getting so much feedback. So thank you. That's why the podcast is improving. It's all thanks to you. And if you want to email me, you can actually email me at bjordanthebadinfluence@gmail.com. Don't forget to share, like, and subscribe. We are on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, and we also have the link on the bio, so you can actually follow all the links. Even my OnlyFans, so you can follow me there too. I'm kidding, I don't have an OnlyFans. So, and I leave you with my final thoughts. If you feel that you're gonna be stigmatized because you need help, in this case, for whatever reason it is, it could be mental health, physical health, whatever, then you're doing yourself, you're not doing yourself a favor. You're actually stopping yourself short from the finish line. Because in order for you to get to the finish line from whatever you're dealing with, you need help. Sometimes you can't do it alone. So, like I have said, fuck their opinion and fuck their stigma. If they want to stigmatize you for whatever reason, fuck them. You don't need them in your life. Find people that don't do that. That way, you can actually have a support group. And I'll leave you like always. Have a great day.